Thanks for staying with us, everyone. All products exported to the U.S. market under the Free Trade Pact AGOA will now attract the 10% import tariff. U.S. Ambassador to Ghana, Virginia Palmer, revealed this in a crunch meeting with government officials. Details in the following report.
The revelation by the U.S. Ambassador to Ghana, Virginia Palmer, corrects an earlier claim by government that exports under the Free Trade Pact AGOA are exempted from this 10% tax on all exports from Ghana. Government had argued that since the trade pact was supposed to end in September this year, Ghanaian exporters will have some time to strategize to lessen the impact of this challenge on the operations. The revelation may also come as a big blow, especially most small and medium-sized enterprises that were exporting to the U.S. under this initiative. It is also not clear for now whether goods even in transit could be also affected. There are concerns about the impact of this development on Ghana's earnings from these exports and how that could affect the local currency in terms of improved reserves for the Bank of Ghana. There are also issues about the impact of these developments on inflation and even the larger economy. The U.S. ambassador in the crunch meeting was, however, quick to add that oil and gas and other energy-related items are exempted from these tariff hikes.
Meanwhile, the government has announced plans to pursue diplomatic channels to urge the U.S. to reconsider the import tariffs imposed on Ghana. Deputy Minister of Trade and Agribusiness, Samson Ahi, shared the update during an appearance on PM Express last night.
The ambassador tried to offer some explanations, and like we said, we all know that most African countries take advantage of AGOA to enter the U.S. market without paying tax, without paying any tariffs on the goods that are exported onto the U.S. market. And we all know that AGOA is supposed to come to an end September 2025, this year. But with the introduction of 10%, you can conclude that they have decided to end AGOA and not going to renew it anymore. So we asked, so with the slapping of the 10%, then what happens to AGOA? And they told us, one of the U.S. people who came told us that they were asked by last week to actually start assessment of countries as to which countries will be renewed to be allowed to continue with AGOA. But suddenly, they were not aware with this imposition, and so they themselves were also in the face. They didn't know the rationale for this tariffs. And so, in a nutshell, we've realized that the only way out is to continue the trade diplomacy, to continue to engage the U.S. authorities to ensure that, to see whether they can review it to do something about Ghana's 10% tariffs on our export onto the U.S. market.
Well, away from the Trump tariffs, government spending for the past year, including various areas of expenditure and other commitments, has emerged as a significant concern for the IMF. These issues have been a focal point during the ongoing fourth program review by the fund. Here's George Afiri with details.
The concerns by the IMF are coming at a time that provisional estimates have shown that Ghana missed out on most of these major indicators under the IMF program ending December 2024. The development has resulted in some pressure being put on government through the Auditor General to audit these numbers for last year. This is to help the IMF appreciate the areas that these monies were spent by government and whether it can be identified as cash or on commitment basis, and the impact of these developments on Ghana's total debt stock going forward. We understand that the Auditor General should finish his work in 6 weeks' time. That will still be enough to help the staff of the fund go to its board in terms of the progress made by Ghana under the IMF program. There are strong indications that Ghana may secure some waivers to help the country get that staff-level agreement during this fourth review engagement that should end on April 15, 2025. 2025.
Now, the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, has surpassed its target for the first quarter of the year, achieving 41 billion cedis, exceeding the set goal of 36 billion. Acting Commissioner General Anthony Kwesi Sarpong highlighted that the authority is implementing strategic measures, including expanding the tax base to incorporate the informal sector, particularly in the Ashanti region. He made the remarks following a visit to several tax service centers in Kumasi.
A delegation from the headquarters of the Ghana Revenue Authority, led by its Commissioner General, is on a working visit to the Ashanti region. The meeting is part of efforts streamlined by the management to familiarize with operations of the various collection points under the authority. In 2024, the Ghana Revenue Authority exceeded its revenue targets by mobilizing 153.5 billion cedis. The authority in the first quarter of 2025 has made a significant increase over its set target of 36 billion cedis. Anthony Kwesi Sarpong is the Commissioner General of the GRA.
I say that the entire first quarter performance for the whole country was impressive, and for Ashanti region, they exceeded the target that we gave to them. And I've already mentioned to them that that is the beginning. And I do want to expect that, as they have done in the first quarter, they also deliver on the remaining quarter towards the entire national target. For the first quarter, the budget gave us 36 billion, but I'm happy to announce that we recorded 41 billion for the first quarter.
The Ashanti region has over the years improved in revenue generation targets, with both the customs and domestic collection units exceeding their targets in 2024. The Commissioner General says the authority is looking at ways to expand the tax net in the region to rake in more revenue from the informal sector.
Secondly, we will also be spending time in the course of the week to discuss some strategies so far as domestic tax is concerned. We've always talked about the fact that we need to broaden the tax net. Kumasi is a large area for informal commercial activity. How do we ensure that everyone who is doing commercial activity in Kumasi and its environment are contributing their quota towards raising tax revenue? So these are some of the areas that we'll be discussing to ensure that we make sure that every Ghanaian and every business contribute their quota in building up the national port of the 220 billion we have set ourselves for 2025.
For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Patsquiku.
And you're watching The Marketplace. My name is Daryl Kwao. Do stay with us. The exchange is coming up after this break. Don't go anywhere. Hello, welcome back to The Marketplace. Time for the exchange, and it's Financial Literacy Month. The Center for Financial Literacy Education is set to host the third edition of the National Financial Awareness and Financial Literacy Conference. That's on April 12th, this Saturday, at the ISA Conference Center, University of Ghana. Now, this event will bring together thought leaders, educators, policymakers, financial experts, and other stakeholders to engage in meaningful discussions on the importance of financial education, its role in fostering economic empowerment. Joining me in studio is Peter Sarinyako, Executive Director, Center for Financial Literacy Education, and John Ewa, Advisory Board Member of CFLE Africa, also CEO of the Ghana Association of Banks. I'm happy to have both of you in studio. How are you doing? Hope you're doing good.
Doing great.
Yeah. So I want to just start with the theme for the event, Peter, building wealth, changing lives, strengthening communities through personal and business financial education. What inspired the theme for this year's event?
Great. Thank you very much. And I want to wish the viewers happy Financial Literacy Month. So looking at the theme, this year we want to focus more on equipping individuals, businesses, and communities with the right skills to make informed financial decisions. We believe when people acquire the skill set, they'll be able to create wealth, and then the more they create the wealth, the more they're able to impact other people, put their resources into the communities and help other people. And so acquiring the skill set will help you create wealth and then leverage that to sustain or strengthen our communities.
John, why is this subject so critical or relevant in our days right now?
I would say it is the one single important skill
that everyone in this country needs if we have to move, or we want to move the country from where we are to a point where we become financially sustainable.
Yeah.
Every now and then, how did we get into DDEP? Because you said our debt level got to unsustainable levels. But what we don't consider is how did we get there? It starts from the household, the individual level, to the household unit, to the business, and then it aggregates into the larger community or larger, what we call the macro. So as banks, we are very much interested in ensuring that the people we deal with, and even those whom we do not deal with, the average person on the street, understand that it is critical that as long as you are using the Ghana cedi to undertake any activity, it's important you understand the business and the language of finance. The basic things. As Peter said, you don't build wealth, like a day and night matter. It's something that you plan and execute over a period. So it is critical that if we want as a country to have our financial freedom, it starts with us. It starts with our business community. And we have to all work to gain the necessary skill that will migrate all of us from where we are to the point where we become financially independent.
Yeah, you brought up the subject of the DDEP. I just want you to tell us some of the financial mistakes people make that, result in some of these outcomes that we've seen recently.
The number one is spending what you don't have. And apart from spending what you don't have, what are you spending on? And we see that a lot reflect on us as individuals. As bankers, we see people who are overstretching themselves. There are people whose salary hit the account, and you see pam, debit. By the middle of the month, everything is gone. What are we spending on? And when we are spending, do we consider the expenditure objective? Are we spending to invest? Are we spending to save? Or are we spending to consume? What we are seeing as a country, that a lot of the expenditure you see around is not building blocks. When I say building blocks, it's not contributing to a certain agenda that is seeking to change our lives. But we are spending because money has come to us, or we've worked and earned money. And when we talk about financial literacy, we are not talking to only people who are earning. We are talking to even people who are dependent, who are not themselves earning. If you are a student and your parent gives you 10 cedis or 100 cedis, how do you go about spending this?
Yeah.
Because it tells us a lot about how you will spend if you begin earning something for yourself. So as a community or as a society, we should all consciously, before we expend, ask ourselves, what are we spending on? And is this something we must spend on? And even the timing of the expenditure. And where are we getting the resources for this kind of expenditure we are executing? What are we expecting as an outcome of the expenditure? That is how you build wealth over time. It starts from laying the foundation and then gradually build, but it has to be intentional. And that is why it's important that we all get this basic knowledge and skill to be able to execute that.
Yeah, and the focus, Peter, is not just on personal finances, but for businesses as well. How would this contribute to the success and growth of businesses, do you think?
Great. So we believe when businesses are able to, one, track their financial records, it's all part of financial literacy. And so when they're able to track their financial records, they're able to identify the part that is making them profit. And they're able to also identify the expenses and the ones that they need to focus money on. It also helps them to separate their business finance from their personal finance. One thing I've realized working with most of the SMEs is that they combine both their personal and business finance. And so with this, we are going to enlighten them to be able to separate their personal finance from their business finance. And so once they focus on their business finance, they now know what goes into their business, how they can maximize profits, how they can even cut down some of their expenditure to be able to push their business forward.
Yeah, and this is the third edition of the National Financial Awareness Conference you're going to hold. What are the highlights of the event this year?
Yeah, so this year we are looking at two keynote pitches. We are looking at panel discussion. So we are bringing on board various expertise. So people who are within various financial service and financial product providers to come and share about what they are doing within their space, what is unique about their industry and how people can leverage that to build wealth. Realize if you want to build wealth, there are a lot of products within the financial chain. The insurance, investment, major expenditures, estate planning. So you need to understand all these aspects of financial planning before you can build a comprehensive financial plan. And this is what we are bringing the experts in to have conversation. And then we are also having a panel discussion on how academia can help financial literacy education within the community. So we are bringing academicians on board to come and espouse some of the strategies we can use to strengthen our community.
I mean, John, you are on the advisory board. So what outcomes are you expecting? What kind of impact do you hope this would make?
It's our objective to touch as many people as possible. Physically, virtual, informational, whichever forum that we can use to reach as many people as possible. That is what we are looking for. So the outcome is at the end of this financial literacy month, though the whole year is a financial literacy year. But this month, financial literacy month, we are expecting that after the program lineup that we have for the month, we've been able to touch, last year we touched over 12,000.
12,000?
Yes, this year we are seeking to touch maybe 20,000 and more. Students, churches, mosques, marketplaces, terminals, truck terminals, wherever we can meet whoever, because financial literacy is for everyone. From the academia, people who think they know, they need even financial literacy more than those who think they do not know. If you drill down to the problems when we had all these financial challenges just recently, and you unveil the so-called investors into all these schemes,
it would shock you.
It will shock you. The kind of people
affected. That
who
is
are
true.
affected.
That is true. It will make it seem like the ordinary person, but there's so many people who do not know.
Professors and accountants.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So talk to us about what guests you're expecting, the speakers, the time, the venue, again, just so, and can anybody attend?
Great, yes. So the National Financial Awareness and Financial Literacy Conference is happening on Saturday, 9:30 a.m. on the dot. We are starting the event, and we have students, we have general public, everyone have access to the event. You can register and attend the event. We are also bringing on board, like I said earlier, academia to have a conversation. We are bringing on board experts within various financial sectors to also come and share their ideas. You are bringing the media to also carry the message to the public.
All right.
And we are making sure this message will touch the entire population of Ghana.
All right. All right. I've got 30 seconds. I'll leave the 30 seconds with you. Final words, Mr.
If you are listening to me, watching me, or watching us here, please take financial literacy seriously. And if you know, teach the next person. Because it is only when all of us become financially literate that as a country we say we are financially independent. As it is, our fortunes are in the hands of other people, because as a people, we are not financially independent.
Right. So just remember, it's happening on the 12th of April, this Saturday, at the ISA Conference Center, the National Financial Awareness and Financial Literacy Conference, organized by the Center for Financial Literacy Education, Africa. I'm going to be there, and that's me in the flyer there. Yeah, and so everybody should make it a point to, I don't know, follow the conversations, and like you said, it's not just for this month, but throughout, because decisions affect us all the time, and we have to be sensitized and be aware. Thank you so much. I'm tempted to ask you so many other questions, but we don't have the time. So thank you so much, John Ewa, Advisory Board Members, CFLE Africa, also Chief Executive of the Association of Banks, and Peter Nyako, my good friend, Center for Financial Literacy Education. I appreciate your time with us. That's it. Thanks for watching, everyone. More news on our website, myjohnline.com/business.